Happy release day, friends. Yes, that's right. Today is the day that update number 4 comes to Planet Coaster 2, and there's just so much to talk about. This is Shenaniganilandia, and we've been in pause mode for a month now, waiting for this update. And what this episode is basically everything that we need to do to get us set up for the restaurants in our park. I'm so excited for this. It's going to be super fun. But let's talk about what we're doing here today. So today we built a Viking pirate ship and we built a Viking toilet to kind of expand on our kids area. I have to say, I'm really stoked on how this came out. It was a lot of reworking and working and moving things around, but I think it really came to 100% exactly what I was looking for. Remember, our park is located in the Northeast somewhere. So think Pennsylvania, think Connecticut, think, upstate New York, kind of like that energy. So it's very woody. It's very over the top. Think, King's Dominion, where you're like in the middle of the woods and you're like walking through these tree areas. Like that's kind of what I want the Viking area to really feel like. I wanted it to feel like you were literally in the middle of the woods and they plopped a theme park there. I think we hit the nail on the head when it came to that. Now, you guys have seen me build this bathroom before, so I didn't go too much into detail into rebuilding this on this particular episode. If you want to see this episode, you can go back to the beginning, our Viking area, where we built our bathroom bar. I think we called it Toilet Bar, if I remember correctly. Toilet Bar was the name. It was very interesting, to say the least. But Toilet Bar. So what we did was we took Toilet Bar, we took it apart, and then we just kind of replaced it into this next space here. So super stoked on that. And the reason why I'm excited for this area is that this is the other entrance to the park, right? So we're going to have our main entrance on one side, and that's going to have, the infrastructure for like parking and whatever. But we're also on this side of the park is going to be where we're putting our hotel, right? The idea is there's going to be a hotel. We're going to have parking at the hotel. There's going to be infrastructure on this side as well. We've already got an entrance that we've built out on this side of the park. And this is really the guest's first entrance moment into the park from the hotel side, right? We are going to do a little tiny area just outside of the hotel that's going to include a carousel, and kind of build out like that whole energy. I want it to be like a hotel pool and like a pool bar, like all that fun stuff. But that's not for a very long time, so y'all can wait. Just kidding. Excuse me. So here we are. We're kind of placing this out. And my thought was for this, I just wanted it to feel very simple, generic, but it has some nice thematic elements to it. And I'm thinking very, again, King's Dominion with kind of the vibe for this area. It's stylized, but it's also slightly themed, and I think King's Dominion does that really well with its new area with Rapterra, as well as, with Tumbili and the other reptilian, that's what it's called, a reptilian. I don't know why I just growled. Don't ask. So with that being said, we've got a really great kind of layout here for this area, and it just sets the tone for that entrance moment into the Viking area of the park. I think it really is just an elevated portion of this area. Now, one thing I do love, and if you notice, everything is yellow, right? I love this whole breakdown. And we talked about this in our last episode too. So we've got this kiddie area, this toddler area, and it has these 4 buildings. And each one of those buildings represents a different area of our Viking area, right? One is red, one is blue, one is yellow, one is orange. So the kiddie area, which this really isn't the kiddie area. This is just more like maybe an adolescent area, I guess you can say, because we've got some midway games here. We've got the Viking pirate ship. We're going to have this restaurant as well. This is all going to be in the yellow, right? We've got the toddler area, which is in the blue. The main area where Schleppnir is, that is in the this red, like that burnt red. And then we're going to have the final area where the dual kiddie coaster is. That's all orange. Right. So the idea here is that we're going to build out these 4 kind of main areas, and they all culminate within this toddler area, right? In that facades that we built out. But I love the yellow. I really love the yellow. And if you look here, I love this little like lattice work we did here. We have the vines that grow up the wall. I think it's just a really fun element to add to this. It's very, somebody said it's very European to see this kind of stuff. And I may be right, I may be wrong, but hey, I like it. I think it looked good, and I hope you guys like it too. So this is an idea I got from Six Flags Over Georgia. If you've ever been to Six Flags Over Georgia, there are these massive topiary tunnels that kind of stretch in 2 or 3 parts of the park. It's actually one of the main areas when you walk through through to Goliath, I believe it was. You walk through one of these, and there's one over by Agoraphobia, which is their massive drop tower. But this was fun to build. Do I feel like it looks a little too Planko-y? Yes, I do. It's a little too samey. Really couldn't fix that, so we added a lot of the other foliage on top of it. I didn't show the full build of this, which you will kind of see in our glamour shots. But what I do love about it is it just really does exactly what the ones at Six Flags Over Georgia do, and it adds cover and shade, and just gives another thematic element to this area. You know, one thing about the Norse gods is they were very earthy, right? So this kind of like plays up to that whole idea of like being very earthy and very, in tune with nature, if you will. But I love the way this came out. Again, it's very square. It gives me almost like Minecraft vibes. I don't know why. But it looks the part, you know what I mean? And we wind up taking all these extra pieces off because when you turn them sideways this way, instead of on the ground, when you turn them sideways this way, the tops blow with the wind, which is very weird. I didn't like it, so I made them go away. Go away, evil flowers. Anyway. I'm cheeky this morning. Yes, it is this morning. I'm filming this the morning of our release date. So what do we have coming in the release, which I'm super excited for? We've got a ton of stuff coming. There are pool colors changing, pool water changing. You can change the tiles of your pools. Career mode sandbox maps, which is great. We've also got standard themed coasters are coming back. Some new ones. We've got the spinning Manic Mouse as well as the inverted flying coaster. I'm looking at my list over here. We've also got workshop enhancements with featured creators and featured creations. So you can follow your creators now, which I think is super awesome. And then, of course, restaurants, which is the huge big news. I actually had a little bit of a play with it this morning to kind of get the idea of what to do, because once we start going live again with Shenaniganilandia, we're going to have to build this restaurant, right? We've already got a Viking restaurant that we've started. If you've not seen that, go to our most recent Shenaniganilandia live that we did, and that will show you kind of what the inspiration is and the direction we're going with our Viking restaurant. And we're going to pick that up today, probably today, tomorrow, somewhere around there. We'll see what my work schedule looks like. That's the other thing. My work schedule is going to be crazy until August. So my live schedule may be a little bit sporadic, so I'm going to go as live as often as I can. When I have the free time, I may not announce it early. I may not be able to put out an actual schedule because that's how sporadic and crazy my schedule is going to be. But do know there are still going to be lives for both Shenaniganilandia and Western Wyatts, which is progressing lovely, by the way. I can't wait for the next Western Wyatts episodes to come out for you guys. Some really good stuff. But here we are. We're theming out our pirate ship, and I really love the way this came out. It just, again, I stole a lot of this from not Busch Gardens, from Six Flags Great Adventures ship. This is, a lot of the theming is very similar to what they did there, except theirs is pirate and ours is a Viking, right? I do love the way this came out. It's got a really solid look to it, all the way across. With the wood pallets, and then we also added in some of these rock pieces and some of the barnacles. Again, it's just to feel very oceany and sea-like. So now, obviously, we all know the idea of Sleipnir was based off of Big Bear Mountain in Dollywood. So it has that splashdown moment, and I wanted to put that in. Now, we're not completely built out on this splashdown moment. When we shift over to the orange portion of the Viking area, we are going to finish working on this little pool that we built out. But this is the start of it, where we build out the full rock tunnel that the coaster goes through, as well as the waterfalls on both sides. We wanted to have waterfalls behind our pirate ship and waterfalls at the front of our pirate ship. This way that coaster portion, whoop the mic, swoops right through and goes into our tunnel, and it's just a really elevated element. Now, the whole idea here is we wanted to have this gorgeous pool area. Like, this is like the photo moment, right? This is where once we get hopefully we get photo spots back in Planet Coaster 2 like we had in Planet Coaster 1. This is where I would put one of those photo moments just to take that picture, because it's just so grandiose. And I think, it's really important for parks to have beautiful atmosphere as well as rides. I think the atmosphere really does sell the experience. And when you are, and I'll use my park as the example, we've got 2 or 3 moments that are just, they are atmospheric photo moments that really just take the cake for guest Instagrammable moments. And that's what this would be considered. This is the Instagrammable moment of the Viking area. And what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to create one of these Instagrammable moments within each section of the park. If you think about that entry moment just after the main entrance, when you've got Pele spinning around, you've got the goddess of wind, I cannot remember her name right now, Kanaloa, in the background, our hyper coaster. So you've got the swing ride, hyper coaster, you've got all these trees in the foreground, you've got dots of Polynesian theming. So it's kind of what we wanted to go after with this as well. Again, this isn't fully built out yet. All we did was build out the rockwork and the waterfall. That's the my sign language for waterfall, because oh boy, I wonder about myself sometimes. Anyway, so as we're building this out, I did cut a lot of the rock work out. There was a lot of back and forth and kind of getting the exact shaping that I was looking for. I wanted the shaping to be very specific, and I think we lucked out in the way we built this out. And when I come back, I am going to add a lot of foliage to it. I'm going to add a lot of embellishment to it, because that for me is probably the best way to really solidify your rockwork into your area. If you look at the rockwork we did back in the water park with the pirate area, we added a lot of foliage to that just to elevate the look. And then here we are putting vents into the ground. This is where the water is going to flow into. There's a huge basin under there that then collects the water, filters it back up to the top, and then runs it out over the waterfall. Simple theming, right? Nothing too crazy. I love these waterfall pieces. I will use these until the day I die. I enjoy waterfall pieces a lot. And making these waterfalls. So I hope you guys like them, because I have a lot of fun building them. But again, with the whole waterfall setup here, it was a lot to kind of build out and kind of figure out what works. It is this special effects waterfall piece that I use sideways to kind of get that trickle down effect. And then we've got the full waterfall middle pieces that we layer in between, and that really just give a good variance of like the splash down onto the rock and then the pour over of the water. I think it really just sells the look, and I think that's what we're going after. We're trying to sell the look. We're not exactly trying to do it. Like, these are the midway water. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. It looks so good. Oh my goodness. So here we are. We do this whole side, and this is the side behind the Viking ship. And as you're coming down the walkway from the hotel and you're walking down, on your left side, we're going to have the 2 chute towers, which will be coming after we build the restaurant. Right, so you've got the restaurant, the 2 shot towers, and I don't think we're going to hyper decorate those. I think they're going to be very less than in comparison. But as you're walking down this walkway, you see this you're walking past the restaurant, and then you see this Viking ship. What we're putting in right now is you're going to see, like, there's going to be a little fountain in the front. We've got the waterfall in the background. It just, again, these are all elemental pieces. It gives me very King's Dominion vibes, and I love that about this. Like, it's not themed, it's stylized, but it really just sells the part. Now this, I wanted it to feel very carnival ride, right? If you look at the Buccaneer in Six Flags Great Adventure, it feels very carnival. So we were able to pull that off with the pieces that we have in the game. And this light was a game changer. I think it really just sells it. I wish we had like the old school bulbs. You know what I mean? But I think this does what it needs to do. I don't think we need to do anything more with it. It really just sells it 100%. And it looks so good. Drakkar. So Drakkar is the name of a type a Viking ship, which I find is interesting because it's also a cologne from the 90s. So they named the cologne after a Viking ship. Let's just digest that. Or a style of Viking ship, right? Drakkar. It's just so manly. Um, just shut me up. Anyway, so here we are. We utilized our flat pieces for this, and then we were just able to kind of bang out a really nice, very simple framework, because this is what the framework looks like IRL in Six Flags Great Adventure, right? It's literally just this wireframe with the letters on it, and they're just attached to the facade side. That's it. That's the whole thing, and I love the way this came out. It just really sells the look. I wish the letters were bigger now that I look at it. But if it would have been too big, it would have been bad. So it's fine. It's fine. We're not going to go back and redo it. I do love this little bit, though. We put in this really nice, two things. Number one, we put in this really beautiful fountain, and we utilize the Viking pieces to kind of edge it off. We create like a basin for it. But I also use the bottom of the mythological ship as an ADA ramp to go over the curb. So good, and it just, because you can paint the sides differently from the top, you see it looks like that, like caution, watch your step kind of energy. Love it. I love the way it came out. Here we are with a really cute fountain going right in the front of our ship, which I think really, again, it's just amazing. It just gives such a good vibe. And then I think I wound up closing off the bottom. Yeah, see, I do close off the bottom here just to kind of put it to bed. You know what I mean? Having that raw bottom was weird. But I think this just really sells it 100%. And then we give it a nice little fancy fence here. And then we're good to go. Wow. Talking for 25 minutes is a lot at 7:15 in the morning. I'm so sorry. My brain is just not braining today. Anyway, so to build out the area, again, you see we did a little bit of a jump cut here because you've seen me place the fencing, the low cut fencing. You've seen me place the place foliage before, so we're not going to show you all of that. I think the time has ended for rockwork and foliage, right? So if you want to see that in the future, let me know in the comments below. Speaking of, we're gonna speak about the future really quickly. So I'm thinking we're gonna take a shift in the style of our content. I think time lapses for a while are gonna have to go away because of my work schedule. My work schedule is so hectic right now, or it's gonna be hectic. My park is launching this Saturday, our 45th birthday celebration, and it is, we don't have time. I don't have time. Time does not exist for me. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge. So I think what we're going to do is at the end of every live, I'm going to record an update session, right? And we're going to do update videos moving forward versus us doing actual time lapses. I don't have the time. If you guys want to see real-time stuff, let me know in the comments below. I can do real-time stuff, a bit of a live play. I can do maybe more than 3 or 4 updates per episode. But for now, after our restaurant, we're going to be shifting to just update videos where we just see the progression and growth of our build versus actually the time lapsing, because I won't have the time anymore. I barely have the time now, and now that my schedule is getting really hectic, I lose everything. It's all gone away. It's horrible. Anyway, so here we are. We're laying out all of the pathing now for our area here. Obviously, you see we've got the games unit. We pulled the games units over from the main area. Again, this entire area is for kids. So we're going to have midway games everywhere. We're going to make it feel very childish. And that's the point. We want it to feel just fun and different. You know what I mean? And I think we sell it really well with these midway games. And you'll see that we use these midway games here. We use them in Western Wyatt's. Our next couple of lives, you should see us switching over to the main area of our water park. or our theme park, and that's where the main strip, and that's where we're going to be taking all of these midway games that we built here, and we're going to be transitioning them over to Western Wyatts, which will be really fun. And you're going to see how versatile these midway games that I've created really are. They are on the workshop. You can get them on the workshop. Super easy to pull together, and kind of adjust to your theming, if you will. But I think the big thing we needed in this area was just shade. We needed shade. It was so open sun. And one thing that really sells a theme park for me is just kind of what does the shading look like? What is the attention to detail when it comes to managing your guests' health and safety? And I think shade is a huge part of that. Especially when it comes to like having different walkways and different shaded areas. I think the more versatility you have in your walkways as your guests are able to like interweave through your park really does elevate the realism of your park. Having one strip going one way and one strip going another, that kind of takes away. But if you take that strip and you branch it off into 2 or 3 little divisions, it really just does sell that feeling of realism. One of the things we did do for this is I wanted to make it like almost like a promenade moment. So we did put in this like jetty wall, which I love the way this came out. I don't remember if we kept this wood. No, I think we went to metal. Yeah, we went to the metal. I wanted it to feel very, very like new. You know what I mean? Like this was like a new addition to the area. See, this is what we did. We took away the wood. We made it feel very new and fresh. Like maybe this was like the expansion of our entrance area over here, right? So we put in this new jetty, which I love, love, love. The way this came out, and then this builds up to our restaurant. Maybe this restaurant's the newest addition to the area, you know what I mean, and it didn't exist before, and it was simply just like a walking path down to the pirate ship. That's kind of like the lore, right? When we think about lore, we want to make sure that we are giving that backstory, right? If we're giving the backstory, we're creating a backstory that lives with our build. We're not just building to build, we're building with purpose, and that's what I love about being able to do this. These little jetties we put in here, they're there for, let's say, I don't know, the coaster valleys in that spot right there. What do? It's over water, right? So they would have to get down to a boat, and that boat would sit right there, and then they would take the boat, they would offload people from the coaster, and then they would have to pull the coaster back with a crane. Like, it's a whole thing. You have to think about these things as you're building. Like, what are the realism touch points of what would really happen? Because these are things that happen in theme parks very often. And they're supposed to happen, right? Coasters Valley all the time, there are different methods and ways to get, people off of those coasters. But we want to think about that as we're building out our park. So what I do love is how we just very simply, this is all very simple because once we come back, you're going to see we build all of this out. This is all built out really nicely with our Viking area. And in our next live that we do for Shenaniganilandia, which will be this week, is we're going to put in our restaurant piece. We're going to build out all of the interior. There's just so much good stuff happening. I'm excited. And then once we finish this little peninsula, we're going to head over to the dueling coaster area. And I think what we're going to wind up doing at some point is maybe putting in these restaurant units in each of our big restaurants that we have. We have a lot of QSRs, but I want to get away from QSRs or move away from some of those QSRs and turn them into big restaurants. Like thinking about the bar that we have at the front of the park, the Polynesian bar restaurant. We're going to put in a restaurant set up there, a restaurant kitchen, and we're going to take that bar out and put that in there. I think that'd be super fun to have in there. And we can do that on our next Shenaniganilandia live as well, right? So that could be super fun. But again, here we are. We're putting in just these little bits and pieces around here just to add that embellishment to our park. I do love the way this whole area just feels, right? It's all about a feeling. All right, here we are. We're creating new games, right, for our thing. So I think this new game that we have here, this is going to be like the water shooty gun thing into the clown's mouth, except we're doing it into the trolls. I don't know why I keep scratching my nose. It's just so weird. Anyway, so the water shooty thing, I love this. I love the way this came out. I think it just really sells the look and feel. And we kept them blue. And these are Mio's. Mio created these water guns. I think they're great. They're fantastic. They look the part. And it's such a fun feeling. And we're going to have them squirting sporadically, which will be cool. And then from there, I think the next one you're really going to like. This is a suggestion by New Jersey Coaster Crew. And they were like, well, why don't you do axe throwing since you have Vikings? And I was like, oh, that's genius. So we create a little axe throwing moment. Now, this wouldn't be a real life thing. This wouldn't be real. I feel like maybe these would be like foam axes. You know what I mean? And they would stick to the wall with like Velcro. Ooh, that would actually be not a bad idea. I need to digest that for a minute. Anyway, so yeah, so super fun, super different. And I just love the way this looks, this whole area. But as we're getting to the end of our video here, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like, comment, subscribe if you'd like to see more. And until the next one, friends, keep on building. Have a great one.